Welcome to Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. Now here's your host, Tim McMahon.
Take these two over to the garage, will you? I want them cleaned up for dinner.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now, come on, get to it.
Hey, it's Tim. Now, I think every one of us, in our own way, is hunting a unicorn. Now, please, let me explain. I think there is something in the world that we all want to see, something that is so impossible that it's nearly mythological. I don't think most of us share this desire with others, but in your heart of heart, you know that there is something somewhere out there that you really want to see, but you also doubt you ever really will. Well, today, I spotted my unicorn. I did not capture my prey, but the hunt goes on. And yes, because this is Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy, my unicorn does relate to that galaxy far, far away. So please, let me tell you my tale. Okay, if you're anything like me, I'm sure you've seen lots of interviews with Mark Hamill, where he is animated and excited and really into what he's talking about. Mr. Hamill is passionate about many things. He's one of us, and it comes through in his voice when you pay attention. Alright, so with that in mind, earlier today I tweeted on Twitter, and please follow the show on Twitter at 12parpod. I said, and I quote, "I just got off a conference call at work. There was some guy on the line who I've never met before who sounded just like Hamill himself. The tone, the inflection, the excitement, it was all there in his voice. I was struck by this sound-alike so much that I could not concentrate on my job." The guy I met on the phone call was a crazy near match for a young Mark Hamill. Sure, it may have been the bad connection. I mean, there were a lot of people on the line, so things sounded mushy and a wee bit scratchy. But still, there's no missing that tone and inflection, the Hamill cadence and exuberance. It was all there, I tell ya. I would have heard it even if we were talking under the deep end of a swimming pool, you know what I mean? There's no missing it. So anyway, I don't know this guy. I've never met him before in real life, on the phone, or even via email. But his voice stuck with me after the conference call. So much so that, as a Star Wars nerd and a Hamill fanboy, I just had to say something. So some time goes by, and a few hours after the conference call, I came up with a fake work-related excuse to call him directly. A question I really didn't need the answer to, but one I knew he would have the answer to. So I call his extension and I get him on the phone. And man, oh man, does he sound even more like Mark Hamill than he did on the conference call. Maybe a little less excited sounding than previously, but it was the end of the day at that point. So I ask my question, and after he answers, I say thank you, and then I end with, "I'm sorry, I just have to ask, has anyone ever told you how much you sound like Mark Hamill?" And his reply was such a punch to the gut that it hurt the geeky core of my Jedi soul. He said, "Who?" Oh man, come on. Well, right after I caught my breath, I said, "You know," because really, there's no way he couldn't have known, right? I said, "You know, Mark Hamill, the actor. His most famous role is probably that of Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars movies." And here comes the second wallop, the uppercut to follow his previous gut punch. He said, yeah, I really don't watch that many movies." What? Stunned, I blurted out, "You've never seen Star Wars?" Damn it, I practically yelled it at him. And I'll admit, there was a touch of anger in my voice. I'm not proud of that. No, not really, he said. "Wow," I replied. "Wow." And that was pretty much the end of our conversation. I didn't know what more to say, so I let him go. A few seconds after that call, it hit me. I sat bolt upright in my chair. My breath left my lungs. Sweat glistened on my brow. It was then that I realized I had just seen it. I had just seen my unicorn. You see, folks, my personal unicorn has long been to meet a functioning adult member of our society who has not seen Star Wars. I want to meet a person like this, and then I want to pick their brains. I want to know their story, what path in their life kept them away from our beloved franchise. What do they know about Star Wars? I mean, Star Wars is part of the global pop culture at this point. They must know some stuff, right? I mean, not knowing Star Wars is like not knowing Mickey Mouse or Superman, or ever having tasted Coca-Cola. Ever. Now, if you do some searching online, you can find articles and videos with these sort of people. They're out there. So maybe my personal unicorn isn't all that rare. Maybe instead of being a horse with a horn, it's more like a donkey with an ice cream cone. That's a thing, right? But to me, it's still a unicorn. This guy was the very first person like this I'd ever met, so he's my unicorn. Alright, so that's pretty much the end of my story for now. My goal now is to befriend this Mark Hamill sounding gentleman, to gain his confidence, and get him to agree to talk to me on the show about his experience, his notions of Star Wars, and maybe, just maybe, get him to watch the films with me. So wish me luck. Alright, so have you ever met someone who's never seen Star Wars? And what is the unicorn you hunt as you travel through your life? I want to know. Email me at 12parsekspodcast@gmail.com or connect with me on any of my social media accounts. All the links can be found on my website, 12parsekspodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Ootini!
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
You've been listening to Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. For links and show notes, visit our website, 12parsekpodcast.com. Follow Less Than 12 Parsecs on Twitter at 12parpod, on Instagram at 12parsekspodcast, on Tumblr at 12parsekspodcast, and find us on Facebook as well. And please let us know what you think. Email us at 12parsekspodcast@gmail.com. All Star Wars sounds, music, images, logos, designs, characters, and elements are registered trademarks and copyright of Disney, Lucasfilm Limited, and their subsidiaries and respective rights holders, and used by Less Than 12 Parsecs Podcast under fair use doctrine. All original content is copyright Tim McMahon and Less Than 12 Parsecs Podcast, released under the No Derivative Works Creative Commons license.